what's up YouTube? This is Chris, and of course this is my channel, Born on 11970. Thank you as always for checking out my video, and I am actually in my massage office to have a couple of minutes before my next client, and I had my computer with me, so I thought I would do a video right here and put things in a little better perspective, at least as far as I'm concerned, because the funny part is, people who've been watching my channel for years know that I've had issues with different types of people, regardless of what motives they have. And then it came to me today as I was doing a session on this elderly woman. She was probably in her late 60s, early 70s. She comes to me because she has arthritis up and down her spine. She gets headaches, and she says my work around her neck and cervical spine helped ease some of her pain. And it was the first time we actually started talking about what's going on in the world, because she started talking about Ebola and what she's heard and all the misinformation, and I kind of gave her some ideas of what's really going on, and then we started talking about other things like the government, and she was never told, nor was she ever aware that the Federal Reserve is a private-owned bank owned by the very people who got the bailouts that we're paying for. And it was just an amazing feeling because of the fact that I've talked to so many different clients. They're the ones that like to talk. We talk about this stuff. And not one person ever gets angry at me. Not one person ever wants to wish death or harassment because I think in a different way. The people in the regular world who have common sense, they're always appreciative. And they're always like, well, you know what? I'm not sure if I believe all that stuff because this is the first time I'm hearing some of it, but I'm going to go check it out. And then they'd come back and be like, wow, Chris, you know, thank you for gearing me in the right direction. And it just made me appreciate the fact of how many good people there really are in this world. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. Did it bother me that some of these people were doing this stuff? Obviously, for years it did. But I think after that whole scenario about a week or two ago, I just lost the flavor for it. To me, to even want to try and talk civilly to certain people just is not something I want to waste my energy on anymore. But I realized in the real world, if you actually talk to people and you talk to them respectfully and you just show them a path, they actually appreciate it. And to me, that's just a beautiful thing that shows that, you know, people that hide behind a computer, whether they get paid to do it or they do it because they enjoy it, that's not the typical person out there. And I think because there's a select few people that come to channels like this, I mean, you're talking what, maybe less than 1% of the population at best? So we take for granted that, you know, we're seeing the same different people over and over again, watching the same different channels, that we almost take it for granted how the typical person, at least how we perceive them, really is. And they're not. And unfortunately, there's so much misinformation out there. I mean, you talk about the Ebola, you talk about ISIS, you talk about the government, you talk about governments throughout the world, the banks and everything. And I leave this question to people, and anybody out there that you're trying to quote-unquote awaken, ask them this very question. Because you see that governments run everything. They control what goes in the media and what's out of the media. They control what goes in and out of your food, in and out of your medicine, in and out of your education, in and out of your transportation and energy. I mean, they are in control of everything as far as regulating it. And I ask this very question to people. In your lifetime, can you name 5 politicians, whether they are presidents, governors, mayors, congressmen, whatever? Can you name 5 of them in your entire life that you remember that were full of integrity, were honorable, and did everything that they promised? And so far, not one person can come up with 2 or 3, let alone 5. And you're talking some people, like I asked this woman that, and like I said, she's in her late 60s, early 70s, and in her lifetime, she could only think of 1 person. And I'm like, think about that. And she's like, yeah, you know, you're right, and sometimes you have to put things in perspective. And there's all this fear, especially like Ebola, and you get these people that just want to harass because it's just fun for them to do. But if you look at a virus, if you're my age, and in November I turned 44, so if you're around my age, around the 35 to 50-year-old radius, you will remember back when they first started talking about AIDS, how people were so afraid to even go near somebody because you were told, like, oh, if somebody spits on you, you're going to die, you're going to catch AIDS, and you're going to die. Well, don't you see this similar scenario here with this Ebola? that people are so afraid because they listen to the media, they listen to the governments, they listen to the people giving partial information. Because yes, there are certain ways you can catch Ebola. But I mean, if you're on a plane and all of a sudden somebody's in this massive amount of sweats and they got blisters and they're throwing up, I mean, any normal person is going to get up and move away. You're not going to go and say, oh, I think I'm going to make out with that person. Or you see him sneeze and you think, oh, well, you know what, I'm going to open my mouth and eat some of their, their secretion. I mean, it's just normal people are not going to do that. So unless you get a blood transfusion or a dirty needle, or if you end up having fluids being exchanged through open wounds, Ebola is not something you're just going to catch just by walking by someone. But yet, even in the salon that I'm working at, you hear the girls all talking, and they talk about this stuff, and they're not basing it on research. They're basing it on what they're hearing from people and rumors. And as you see how for hundreds of years people were told and convinced that the world was flat, well, along comes somebody like Galileo that didn't just agree with the belief system. He ended up researching and verifying that the Earth is round and we are not the center of the solar system and the sun does not revolve around us. Well, everybody thought he was crazy. Everybody mocked him. Everybody laughed at him. They threw him in jail where he died. So, I mean, my thing is, the more I listen to the mainstream media, the more I listen to the masses, the more I realize they're just doing what they're told. Because you could take a bunch of sheep and have one or two sheep herders direct them all in the same place. I mean, you could lead cattle to their own slaughter, and they'll line up willingly. That's the same thing with people. Unless you have free thought, unless you decide that instead of just listening to something and saying, well, I believe it or I don't believe it, check into it. I even say that with my stuff all the time. I've always said that I don't get everything right. My intention is trying to do good. But the people who try and use nasty words and comments and hatred, I mean, I have no reason to debate somebody that is not going to be open-minded and actually talk civilly. So there's no sense of me even trying to shift any of my energy towards negativity. But I always tell people, you do your research, because sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes people flat out lie. So you have to do what you do, but be very careful with what you believe. Research, verify, just at the very least so you can protect yourself. Because if a doctor hands you a bunch of medicine and says, oh, this is great for you, it's going to do you well, and you just say, oh, okay, and you shove it down your throat, and then all of a sudden you get an allergic reaction and get sick or die, well, as bad as it is that they gave it to you, you volunteered to take it without verification. And that's a very dangerous way to live, and it's an easy way for people to control you. So I'm going to keep this video relatively short. I have another client coming in soon, but I wanted to show you guys how much I care about you, and I will continue to try doing my best. It doesn't guarantee I'm going to get everything right. I will make mistakes along the way, but I've never gone out to purposely try and deceive people or lie. And I want people to know that when I share my thoughts, it's my opinions of things, it's my belief system. It's what I feel is the path that I choose to resonate with. And there are going to be people that'll hate me just for the fact that I think differently. And that's a sad way to live. So if you appreciate what I do, give it a thumbs up, share it, favorite, post it on your social networks. And if this is the first time you've ever checked out one of my videos, hit the subscribe button, go to my must-watch videos section on my page, and check out some of my other videos. Formulate your own opinion. Don't base things on what the masses say or what someone else says. Be your own individual. Thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.